from Canton, Ohio, which was a very special weekend for the football fraternity, especially that group in Tampa Bay that was crowned Super Bowl champs back in '02 as they saw one of their guys, John Lynch, head into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Brad Johnson was up there, and he's now joining us from the road this morning. Big Bad Brad, good morning, man. How are you? Thanks for the time.
Yeah, man, Jordy, I appreciate you reaching out. It's been a fun weekend in Canton Hall of Fame. Obviously, got to celebrate John Lynch going to the Hall of Fame. We had two other guys with Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks that didn't pass, and so it's a great reunion for everyone to get together. And I don't think we slept for the last 48 hours, one of those deals. But it's pretty cool. Yesterday, actually, Alan Faneca, he went in from LSU and got to see Panaski and Greg Stringfellow and Kevin Falk. They came up to celebrate him also. So it's pretty just a who's who kind of weekend, and get to celebrate some great legends.
Yeah, that was it looked like, at least through the television, that was a very cool weekend for football. I was going to ask you, just being a part of the NFL fraternity and the football fraternity, what it meant being around some of just the power figures of the game this weekend as they were inducted to immortality for the game.
It really is. I mean, I've been up there before, and when you see them first put on the gold jacket, and then you see them, you get honored in front of the whole crowd, but you get honored in front of your peers. It's a select group. It's like John Lynch, he went as number 354 as a Hall of Famer. It's hard to get inducted, but those guys that get inducted, it's well deserved. And so we had a big party those nights, Saturday night at John Lynch's party, and he's got Lionel Richie singing, but when you walk into the crowd, there's John Elway and there's Peyton Manning, and I'm like a little kid trying to get in my picture with those guys. So it's you think about, as a fan, the history of the NFL, and all these guys are here in one moment. You've seen them on your couch for years at a time, and just brought great memories and great moments to all of us as fans. And obviously I got to play against a bunch of them, and that's an honor too.
Yeah, it was, man. I mean, just kind of this weekend brought you back, whether it was Jimmy Johnson telling stories or Edgerrin James telling stories about his days during the Colts. I mean, it was a weekend of highs, and just listening to those guys' points of view of their experience.
It is. I mean, Edgerrin, he's talking, gold teeth to gold jacket,
Yeah.
And so last night, I mean, Everson Walls, he comes out banging from, Dallas Cowboys, the Hail Mary and the great stories, and then you see the humbleness of Tom Flores, and then Peyton Manning delivers a speech of, that'll go down for history. Yeah. His speech last night, and John Lynch. I mean, it's just incredible to hear their stories of how they, what they overcame, what they meant, what the game has meant to them, and how they want to pass it on. It's awesome. It's humbling to them. It's humbling to say we were teammates and all those kind of things too.
There was a great shot that came out of you and Lynch on an open air car on a convertible going through the Super Bowl parade. Both of you had your jerseys on, riding through downtown Tampa. That just looked like a moment in time that was just incredible for you guys. If you could you take our listeners back and just tell, for those who may not know, I remember watching you guys play and just how dominant John Lynch, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, and that crew was.
It really was. It's pretty cool because when Tony Dungy went to the Bucks, they were called the Yucks, and just trying to win 3 games a year, those kind of things, and the Orange Sickles, and as far as uniforms go, and then so Tony Dungy made some great draft choices, and with Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp, and eventually John Lynch, and then as it went on, I mean, it became one of the most dominant defenses in the league, and that's why you got some Hall of Famers and those kind of things, and obviously, when you do win a Super Bowl, you kind of get rewarded in a lot of different ways. But the Super Bowl was really a cool moment for me, Jordy, was when we are in the convertibles at the Super Bowl party. And I mean, there's thousands and thousands. People are on bridges and waving their arms. And it's that moment, So we're in the convertibles. They tell you to stay in the car, don't get out and shake people's hands. It'll get too crazy, just all those kind of things, and people swarm the cars and stuff. But at one moment, John Lynch, he gets out of the car. Warren Sapp, he gets out of the car. They're running the streets. They're high-fiving everybody. It's out of control. So I'm thinking, I'm in my second year in Tampa here. This unbelievable moment. But then I see those two hug, Warren Sapp and John Lynch. They hug each other, and I'm like, man, this is the moment for them. They came here when they built the Tampa Bay Bucks. They built this city, made all the Buccaneer fans cheer, and they were there in the tough times. And so they lasted it, and then they elevated it, the name of the Bucks, and then they, obviously become legends now. But it was their time, what they did through the tough times to, stick it out. And so it's, those guys are so well deserving. John Lynch was my roommate for 3 years, and he loved football. But some of our first times were just riding through the games, and we'd put on the 80s disco music and and get going. So it was fun. John's a fun guy. The party the other night was an incredible party with Lionel Richie singing, John Lynch is on the mic, and just fun memories and moments to relive again.
Man, that is cool, man. That is, and a weekend that football will probably remember forever. You'll see images coming out of Canton that happened this weekend. You'll see that 150, 200 years from now. That's cool that you had a front row seat there. I know that as high as this weekend was in celebrating teammates and being around some of the legends of the game, it had to be as sorrowful to get the news that your college coach, one of the titans of football in Bobby Bowden, passed away at 91 years old. I know that that Coach Bowden was battling an illness, but to hear the news as one of his former players, how did that hit you?
It's sad. It's a sad moment for Florida State. Sad moment for all the Bobby Bowden fans. We all know this time is coming at some point for all of us. And Coach Bowden, his life it's been well documented what he's accomplished. But man, now you get to celebrate. We all get to celebrate his life, and there'll be a funeral service this weekend. And you think of Florida State football, he is the monument of Florida State football. Started the program in 1976 from nowhere. And I remember 1981, he went down the row of playing. He took Florida State on the brand of we're going to make a brand of it. They should have went 0-11 that year, but they played the likes of Ohio State and LSU and Nebraska and Notre Dame and took the show on the road. And we put it on the map. And I would urge people, there's a movie called The Bowden Dynasty. And it's really an incredible story. It's when in the 80s, when it all began. In 1987, that's when I got there. That was a 14-year run of finishing in the top 4 in the country. Won 2 national championships during that time, but just the way he did it, the vision he had for players, the vision he had for the coaches that he had that later on became head coaches, and then the way he just treated us as men. He shared his faith with all, and that was first in his life, and first, that he never pushed it on you, but he gave you opportunities to grow in your faith. And so I just, I look back and say that was my coach. I'm honored. I'm thankful. And so it's pretty incredible to say he was my coach. When I was there, he won. I think when I committed, I think he had 170 wins. And I was the bold kid that said, how much longer do you think you're going to coach? He was at 63. And he went on and he said, I'm going to be around for a while, boy. And he went on to win 377 wins and, all the above. But I think his legacy is much more than just trying to win football games. It's more impact in his life and sharing his faith with others.
Brad, I remember in 1996, I was a freshman at Catholic High School, and he was on campus the majority of the spring recruiting Travis Minor, who was the running back that went on to play at Florida State, started as a freshman. And Coach, when he would come to campus, it was as if Saban being on campus now. Yeah. The whole world would stop. Teachers would leave their classrooms and want pictures, and everybody was walking the halls. He had this. My producer and I were talking about. He almost had swagger before you talked about it publicly.
He did. There's no doubt about it. He was a rock star. That was before, he was the legend of all the coaches then, and the wins and the name will stand forever. But yes, he was definitely Bobby Bowden. He knew he was coming to town. He took the brand of just trying to start the program at Florida State, took it national. And he was. You think of the Bobby Bowden hat, you think of the trick plays that he ran. And just a great moment, in Go Camel Stadium, Tallahassee. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I always remember his in-game interviews were the best. I mean, just his person. He would almost tell you his game plan. I mean, he was so transparent.
He would come in at halftime, and I've coached a lot of football, man. I kind of make a joke of it too, but he would always, if we ever had a lead and went at Florida State, and he'd come in, he'd always rip the receivers. Receivers, you got to catch the ball. You got to catch the ball. I don't know if they call, we might have called 20 balls, but he's going to say it regardless. Receivers catch the ball. Linemen, you got to block, and defense, if they don't score, they don't win. I mean, that was the speech. I mean, at halftime we had, all this nutrition stuff. I remember we'd have a Coke, we'd have a popsicle, and a Hershey bar, and
a cigarette.
We'd have cigarettes. But, I mean, that was how simple form it was at the time. We thought we were getting rejuiced with all that, So,
that's so good.
I mean, his speeches were legendary. His halftime was, reporters, and I remember one time the score was like 7-7. He looked at the cameraman and said, "Listen, if they don't score and we don't score, it'll be a tie." And that was it. As they walked off. Yeah, right. God, it's incredible.
Reporting live from the field.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, this game works.
That is so good.
Yeah, and one time he was. I'll go real quick here.
No, go.
I was having to send in signals during a big scrimmage one time we were having on campus, and the play was called RC 268 Cobra. So basically, it's a corner hitch. It's called smash route, and so I signaled in RC 268 Cobra. And I think Charlie Ward, he threw a corner out, and I said, "What's the next play, Coach?" And he said, "Well, let's run RC 268 Cobra." So I signaled in again, and then So then he hit the hitch this time, and so what's the next play, Coach? He said, RC 268 Coach. I said, Coach, I think he said, Brad, I think it's going to work again. So you're right, Coach. It worked 3 for 3, but he had a knack for calling great plays and an incredible impact on all of our lives.
So good, man. Brad Johnson's sharing some stories here on this Monday morning, remembering Bobby Bowden, also talking about his weekend up in Canton, Ohio, which was very cool, being around some of the legends of the game as the enshrinement of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Last week, I'm sure the news that hit your family had to be very exciting as the head coach of LSU publicly named Max Johnson the starting quarterback for the Tigers going into the seasons. I know it's not the circumstance that you guys envisioned happening with Miles Brennan going down with kind of a freakish injury during the preseason, but knowing that Max is now QB1 down in Baton Rouge, how's that hit his dad?
Yeah, well, it was terrible news for the Brennan family and for Miles to go through what he's, obviously his career's been well documented as far as his injuries and stuff this last 12 months and those kind of things. You hate it for Miles to go through that, and you hate it for the Brennan family to go through those things. And injuries are part of it. And, a lot of families have to deal with it at certain times. But, Max, he's excited about it. Obviously, he won the last couple of games and played well last fall and last year, but he's a kid that wants to win every race. He wants to win every stadium. He wants to win every drill on the field. It's not finish the drill, start the drill, and win the drill. And so he's excited about that opportunity. And they got great coaches, great players, and so it's gonna be fun to watch you guys grow through this, next month of football camp and be ready for UCLA.
Being out there this weekend, Coach, one of the things that stood out was, first off, he looks like he's put on really good weight in the offseason and carrying it really well going into his second year. But just some of the intangibles, just the way he kind of carries himself, you can see the way that people even just kind of look at him in the way that he walks drill to drill. He feels like the starter. He looks like the starter. Is there anything that you saw from him in the offseason that made you believe, he seems like he's very much ready for this next challenge that is in front of him?
Right. I think the team and him, stepped up last year when he got those opportunities to play, and then obviously win the last 2 games of the season. Those guys, they work hard in the off season. Max loves football. He loves the meetings. He loves the why are we putting in the play? Why not do this? Or, and the grind. The grind is, that's where the game is won. I sit there and watch all these Hall of Famers going this past weekend. It was about the grind of the work in practice and the way they develop the kids down there. So I know Max is excited, with the whole team. He has a feel for the game, tries to throw people open, and so it's gonna be fun to watch them improve it this year and make a bounce back year.
I don't know if you saw the story last week. Quinn Ewers is foregoing his senior year and going to go up to Ohio State and play for a year early with some stuff that was happening down in Texas with legislation. I don't really care about name, image, and likeness stuff. Can Jake do that? Can Jake graduate and get over to campus a year early? LSU is in need of a tight end.
Yeah.
How's our guy getting ready for his senior season?
Yeah, Jake's excited. We went to state championship last 2 years in a row, and I couldn't tell you if we were going to win 4 games in the last 2 years. So this year we got a really we got a good team coming back, but Jake's excited about it. He works out on the weekends and during the whole week. He's excited to be an LSU Tiger, but I think he has a chance to have a pretty good season this year too. So he's getting after it, and that's going to be fun to watch him.
Coach, what's it like for you around this time? I mean, you coach ball. What's this?
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel it. We were talking about it this morning. Feels like football season after watching the Hall of Fame game on Thursday, watching the speeches from the weekend, and just kind of going to LSU practice. Feels like it's that time of the year. How does August and September hit you? Now that you're calling plays.
Yeah, this is what you work for the whole off season, lifting weights and spring football and summer football, summer workouts, and then. But the cool thing, Jordy, this year, it's going to be awesome, is the fans coming back to games. Yeah. I mean, I remember last year for high school games, each parent would get 2 tickets. So who are you going to invite? You can't invite your brother or sister or grandparents and those kind of things. And now, obviously, SEC football, you're going to have, packed stadiums and just environments. It's awesome to get things back on track. So looking forward to it,
Big Bad Brad. On Twitter at Brad_Johnson_14. Cool to share some memories with you from the weekend. Thanks for remembering your coach and Coach Bowden. Looking forward to seeing you down in Baton. Did you, when driving to Canton, you still have the Tiger Stadium so many miles away on the back?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt. I said for sure.
Yeah,
give you one.
From Athens to Baton Rouge, just 596 miles. So there's a sign on the back of our truck. If you see us, that's us.
Big Bad Brad. We'll see you in Baton Rouge in the fall, man. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Jordy. See you guys.
All right, see you. There is Brad Johnson checking in this morning